Welcome to the Westcott Crochet channel and welcome to the Hex cardigan. If there is a written pattern, the link will be in the description box. For this project I used about 1,200 meters of a wool and acrylic blend. It recommended a 5mm hook and I used a 6mm hook. I also used a tape measure, stitch markers and a yarn needle. The hexagon construction is quite popular, so I wanted to work my take on it. More often than not it's worked in a granny square stitch pattern, so I wanted to stay away from that. It's a really fun make where you start with a basic shape and build from various angles to achieve your end result. If you enjoyed the video, please give a thumbs up to highlight my existence in the vast world of YouTube. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to check out future uploads. You can also follow me on Instagram, and if your account is set to public, do tag me in on any pictures of your Westcott crochet projects. Starting today with a magic loop or magic ring, grasp your yarn, wrap it around 3 fingers. Wrap it again so that you have a cross. Take your hook, up under the first loop, grab the back one and pull it through. Give it a little twist. Up again through the back loop, pull it through. That's your slip knot. The ring works by working all of your stitches around this tail end. You need to incorporate the tail end into your stitches, and then at the end you pull the loop closed with this tail end. So I'm going to work 24 stitches into my loop, and I'm going to alternate between single crochet and double crochet, which I believe is called the griddle stitch. To start with, I'm going to chain one. I'm going to put a marker in that chain one. My first stitch is going to be a single crochet, so into the loop, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Next one's a double, so yarn over, into the ring, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops only, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Stitch number 3 is a single. Stitch number 4 is a double, and just keep going, alternating stitches for 24. I have my 24 stitches in my ring. You may have to pull this tail end a little bit as you're working them in and just fidget your stitches around to make sure that it all fits on. So now I'm going to close this round by slip stitching into this chain one that I've marked. So into the stitch, pull back a loop, it's a bit tight, and pull it through your actual stitch as well for slip stitch. Right, so now I can close this ring. I'm not going to close it entirely, just because it's easier to work the next round if it's still open a little bit. I'm just going to join the 2 sides together. So I'm going to take that out. So I'm going to chain one and mark that stitch now. So I'm going to turn around and work back the other way. And I'm continuing the griddle stitch, so single crochet and double crochet. And because I've turned around, my first stitch is now a double crochet because that was my last stitch of the round, the 24th stitch. I'm going to start with a single crochet again, which will work then on top of that double crochet. And then the double crochet will work on top of the single crochet. And that's how the griddle stitch works. So you always start with a single, you end with a double. And then when you turn around, you start with a single on top of that double and end with a double on top of your single. Does that make sense? So starting with the single. So just 1 stitch on top of that double crochet. When I get back around to the end, I'm going to put another 2 stitches into that first stitch. For the next 3, I'm going to put 1 stitch in each, and I'm going to keep alternating with the griddle stitch. So double, single, double. The next stitch, I'm going to put 3 stitches, still alternating, so I'll be working just on a double, single, double, single, all into the same stitch. Next 3 stitches, get 1 each. Keep alternating. So that was a single. So I'm double, single, double, 1 stitch in each stitch. Next stitch gets 3 stitches in 1 stitch, still alternating, single, double, single, all in the same stitch. I'm going to keep that way all the way around. So the next 3 stitches, 1 stitch in each, keep alternating. The one after that gets 3 stitches in 1. After that, 3 stitches, 1 in each, and so on all the way around. I've gone all the way around, and in my round there are 5 points where I've worked 3 stitches in 1 stitch, and every other stitch has 1 in each. I'm going to work the 6th point now where I have 3 in 1 stitch. So I've just finished the round with a double crochet on its own. Here's the slip stitch that I started with. Here's the first single crochet, and this is the stitch that's worked into. So I'm going to work into that stitch with a single, not on top of the stitch, into the stitch that I worked originally. So where that single crochet was worked, I'm working 2 more stitches into that actual stitch at the bottom as well. So into there with a single, just move that out of the way. And with a double. So I now have 3 stitches into that first stitch that I started the round with. There's the top of my stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into that single crochet that I started the round with. And that's the end of that round. Start the next round. Chain up 1 to build my yarn. I'm going to just mark that slip stitch there because we need to make sure that we work that stitch at the end of the round because that's an actual stitch. I'm not slip stitched into a chain 1, I slip stitched into the stitch itself, so I need to work that at the end. So I've chained 1, turn around and work a single crochet into the first stitch. And let's mark that as well. And then we know exactly where the next or the last 2 stitches need to go into this stitch to close the round. So that was a single. I'll then work a double and then onto a single, double, excuse me, my yarn snagged up, and a single, and then I'm on to the cluster of 3. I'm just going to work a double into the first one, and into the second I'm going to work 3 stitches. So into that center stitch of the cluster of 3 I'm going to put 3 stitches. It's going to be single, double, single again. Keeping the griddle pattern going. Into the last of the cluster of 3, just 1 stitch. And then keep alternating until you get to your next cluster of 3. Again, if it helps, put markers into stitch number 2 of your cluster of 3. It becomes more obvious after this round. It's already forming a corner, a square at the end there. So that was a double. I'm on for a single, double, and here's my cluster of 3. This is the center of that. So single, double, single, and then double, single, all the way to the next cluster of 3 where I'll work 3 in the centre, and I'll just keep doing that all the way around. I'll meet you back at the end. So I'm here at the end, got my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points where I've worked 3 stitches in that middle stitch. It looks like I have only 1 stitch left, but in fact, as you see, I've marked that slip stitch to confirm that there's an extra one there as well. So I've just worked a double. I need to work a single and then a double into that stitch that I've marked there to make sure that we don't miss it. So here's stitch number 1, the top of. So find where you worked that stitch and work 2 more. So I need a single, and a double. And then I'll slip stitch into the top of that stitch at the march point. And that closes the round. So let's start again. Take that out and mark the slip stitch to make sure we don't miss it at the end of the next round. This one can come out too, because I'm going to mark my first single crochet of the next round, which is there. Okay, so again, into that single crochet stitch at the bottom there, I will work 2 more when I close the round. So that's 1, just the single crochet, and at the end I do a single and a double, and then slip stitch into the top of this first stitch. So I'm just going to keep going round and round now, keeping that same pattern, alternating griddle stitch. Every time I get to, a cluster of 3, which I have here, I'll work 3 stitches into the centre stitch of the cluster of 3. So stitch number 2 gets 3 stitches. Still alternating, so it will be single, double, single. And then 1 stitch in each, keeping the alternating pattern going all the way around until you get to your next cluster of 3, where you'll work 3 in the centre. I'll just finish this round and close it off again on camera, and then I'll let you get on with it. Here I'm back around at the end, just worked all of my points. Now it's going to take a strange shape. It's not going to lay flat, so don't worry about that. It's going to have a bump. If you're working 4 sides, it would sit flat, but as you're working 6, it does a little ruchy thing. Anyway, just work my last double crochet of the round into the slip stitch. Here's my first stitch from the round. I'm going to put 2 more in there. So single and a double. And slip stitch into the top of stitch number 1. And if you need to, mark your slip stitch, chain 1, turn around, single crochet into stitch number 1, and mark that one. Again, only if you need to. It's helpful in case you lose your way and you don't know where you've gone. You may also find it again, it's helpful to put stitch markers in your corners, the middle of your 3 stitches. I've not done that because it makes too much noise clacking on the board. So I'm going to keep working in rounds now. At this point I can pull my tail end from the beginning and close my loop, and then I'll just secure that and weave that in. Keep working in rounds, putting 3 into each point of the corner of the hexagon. So all your 6 points have 3 stitches in them. And you're aiming for a sleeve width to begin with. So at some point One of these flat sides will fold in half, and this will be your sleeve width. So work to whatever sleeve width you need. So just keep folding it in half and checking your measurement of whatever width of sleeve you're looking for. I'm going to go for, I think, 18 rounds for mine. I'll be back when I've done. Okay, I'm back. I've worked 18 rounds on my hexagon. See what a strange shape it makes. So when I fold the flat side, any flat side, in half, this is my sleeve width now. Mine is about 17 centimeters, just under 7 inches. This is how it actually folds for joining up. So this is the center. Just take one of your flat sides, fold it in on itself, and you create an L shape. Before I actually join anything, I'm just going to extend on 3 sides of the hexagon. So I've just slip stitched to close the last round, chain 1, turn around, and I start with my single crochet on top of my double crochet. Then I'm onto the double, single, double, and business as usual, but for 3 sides only. So I'll work the corner as normal, work across the next corner, work that one as normal with the 3 stitches in 1 stitch until I get to the end of the 3rd side. I've worked my 3 sides, 1, 2, and 3. I finished up with a single crochet in the center of my cluster of 3 in this corner here. I'm going to work back again along the 3 sides. So I'm now working on top of a single crochet, so I'd need to start with a double. You can either chain 3 in place of a double and then work your next single crochet on top of the next stitch, or I'm going to work a standing double crochet. To do that, pull up my loop to the height of a double crochet, twist it around my hook, insert into the stitch, hold on to the loop with your finger and pull back a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and you've got what looks like a double crochet. I'll do that again a little bit closer up. Pull up the loop to the height of a double, finger on the loop to hold it in place, twist it around the hook, in through the stitch, pull back a loop, keep your finger on the loop here, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and then I can just go single, double, and then again work my 3 sides, ending after the 3rd side with a double crochet on top of the last single crochet. So I've worked my 3 sides again, just extending out on the hexagon. I'm going to keep going now until I just fold this. So these are the 3 sides that I'm extending, 1, 2, and 3. I just put this right way up. This is the sleeve. This is the width that I worked to first. This is now the body section. And I'm going to keep working these 3 sides until this section measures 1/4 of the circumference of my upper body. So measure all the way around the widest part of your upper body and divide it by 4. That's what you're aiming for here. I've worked 9 rows around the extended 3 sides. So this part is the sleeve bit, which I stopped working on first, and then I worked the extension along the 3 sides for 9 rows. I've already chained 1, cut my yarn, and then pulled the end through. So now I take the corner that I've just finished, the other corner where I worked the 3 sides, that's the other side. I put the 2 together. So there's the 2 sides and the 3 sides that I was extending. And then the sleeve just matches off like that. And I'm going to now join across the top of the sleeve. So when I come to join the sleeve, I'll be joining all the way to the end of the sleeve here, but not starting at the center here. I need to leave a section for a neck opening. And for me, it just so happens that where I started extending, I'm going to leave that bit open for the neck, both back and front. So I'm going to start into my first real stitches, which is here, and start joining from there. If you are joining into your extended section, you should have one row with a single crochet, one row with a double, single, double, and you side on those stitches. So the rule is normally one per single crochet, one stitch, and then 2 stitches into your double crochet, just so you get a nice even spacing. As I say, for me, I'm starting into the real stitches, so I'm going to join from here. So I'll just find a spot on both sides. So that is here and over here. And I'm going to join my yarn there. So yarn needle, thread that through and pull it through. And you can just tie that off. If you don't want to join it this way, join it whichever way you prefer. I decided to join with a mattress stitch and a yarn needle. As I say, any way you prefer to join it that way. I'm going for the mattress stitch because it leaves a flat seam and it's going to be on the top, so it'll look a bit neater. So to do the mattress stitch, I'm just going to put my seam ends together so that they're side by side, and simply go in through the stitch on one side and in through the stitch on the other side. Next one, next one, and just work my way up. So one stitch or one stitch through each side, one stitch at a time. I'll come back when I get to the end. When you've worked through all these stitches, just make sure that you pull it tight so that you've got no baggy stitches on your seam. So hold one end and pull the other. Make sure you've taken out all the slack. If you pull it too tight, it will ruche, but it's still adjustable at this point. You can just stretch that back out again. The last loops that you should go through are the 2 corner stitches. So where you've got your cluster of 3 at the end of each side, you want to go into the second stitch on both sides. I've done that. I'm just going to tie this off and then start on the sleeve extension. Oops, I just pulled my seam. So I'll go through that again just to tie that off securely. And now I can work on extending the sleeve. My hook is inserted into that corner stitch where I ended the seam. I'm going to put on a slip knot and pull it through and chain up 1. I can mark the chain 1. All right, I'm going to turn around because I need to be going in the right direction. Follow the stitches. The right direction is in the direction of the pointy end of the stitch. Where you've got your stitch, you've got a curved side and a pointy side. You want to be going towards the pointy side. Let's see. So I've just joined up and my first stitch should be a single crochet. So into the corner stitch, I've just joined into, work a single crochet. Then a double and standard, single double, all the way around. So that's all the way around, and I've got 2 stitches left. So technically I should be ending on a single crochet on top of the double crochet, which was the corner stitch. I can't end the round on a single crochet, it needs to end on a double. It starts on a single and ends on a double. So what I'm going to do is just work these last 2 stitches together as one double. So yarn over for the double, in through the first stitch and pull back a loop, in through the second stitch, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops, and that just works those 2 stitches together as one. To close the round, I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my first single crochet, and let's mark that slip stitch, chain 1, turn around, and I'll go back the other way, starting with a single, which again I'll mark because that's the slip stitch for the end of the round, and then double single all the way around, remembering to work that last stitch which I've marked, and then slip stitch into the first single crochet. Here again at the end, double crochet into that marked stitch that slip stitched into, slip stitch into stitch number 1, just make sure that slip stitch is still marked, there we go, chain 1, turn around and work back the other way, just doing exactly the same thing. So just keep going round and round now until you get the length of the sleeve that you want. I've now got the full length of my sleeve. Now that I have that, I need to go right back to the beginning and make a whole other piece exactly the same as this one. As you see here, I have 2 identical sides. I'm going to now join the back up the back seam with the mattress stitch again. I've just flipped around so I can work the seam from the top to the bottom. Here's the neckline. I'm working down to the bottom, and that's just so that I can leave my working yarn attached and just keep going from there. I'm in through the top corner stitches in both instances because this is the extension. So there's no corner here, there's no 3 into the corner, it's just a top stitch. So in through there and pull through. And then as before, I just thread through each stitch. Now my stitches are facing downwards in this instance because that's just the way that the row ended. I've just got to peek through to the other side to find my loops. There they are, on one side, then through the other side, and just keep going, bottom to top. And every so often, I'll just give that a little tug and tighten it up, like so. And just keep going all the way from top in this instance, to the bottom. Back is all sealed up, and my working yarn here, I'm still upside down, so my yarn is just out the middle of the neck line at the back there. The next strip I'm going to take is to go from where I left off, here, across the back of the neck, across the top of the front there, down the front. I'm going to round the corner at the bottom, go all the way around the back of the bottom, round to the front, around the corner again, back up, and all the way around, back to where I've started. So just going for a full lap, all the way around this open edge. Okay, so starting off from the centre of the back, where I left off, around the top edge, there aren't any proper stitches all the way around there. They don't start till down the front side. So these are the extensions, and I've got the sides of the double crochet and single crochet starts and ends of each row. So I had 9 extension rounds, and 4 of those started with a double crochet and 5 of them started with a single crochet. So I got 9 stitches in total, 4 of them are doubles, so I need to put 2 stitches in each of those doubles. That makes me with 13. So I've got 13 here, 13 across to here in the corner. So that's 26 altogether, an even number. I need an odd number because my corner stitch here is a single crochet, and I'm going to round this corner with a cluster of 3, and therefore it needs to be double, single, double. So if I'm starting with a single, which I need to do to start the round, as I work 13 stitches here and 13 stitches here, I'm going to be hitting this corner on the wrong stitch. So I need to work 2 together, and I'm going to do that here, where it changes direction from the back to the front, and work those 2 together to make 1 stitch. So to kick things off, in with the first stitch, pull back my loop, chain 1 to build up my yarn, single crochet, and I'm going to mark that because I need to slip stitch into that to close the round. So the next stitch is a double, so in through the next point, just force your way through, there's the double, next one is a single, and then I'm going to work a double, and I'm just evenly spacing them out. If you need to, take stitch markers and mark where your stitches are going to go to make sure they're evenly spaced. I'm going to work my 12 to start with. I have 13 going across the back, I'll work 12 and I'll come back. Just worked my 12 stitches across the back. I'm here where back meets front for stitch number 13. So I'm going to work 13 along with number 1 on the front to even my numbers. Well, it actually makes my number odd, which is what I need. So I'm on a single crochet, I just worked a double. So I'm going to work 2 single crochets together to form 1 stitch. So in through stitch number 1, pull back a loop, stitch number 2, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 3 loops. And now I have just 1 stitch out of 2. I'll carry on from here with my double crochet, single, double, for 12 more. And I should hit the corner then on the right stitch. If you happen to be on a double crochet here for the decrease, working 2 doubles together, yarn over, in through the stitch, pull back a loop, in through stitch number 2, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through remaining 3. And that's 1 double out of 2 stitches. And then again, carry on as normal till you get to the other corner. Worked all the way across the front now. I'm at the corner stitch, and now it's back to business as usual. So double, single, double into that corner stitch. Oops. And work my way all the way down the front, around the corner, which is standard again, all the way around the back around the front, up to the top, and then you've got the same situation on the other side as you have over here with making your stitches and just evening them out. Just knit back because I'm at the bottom. I've gone all the way down the front, around the back, bottom in the back centre, and I've got 2 corner stitches which I'm going to work together as 1 to keep the pattern going. So just where you've joined and your seam, you should have 1 corner on one side, 1 corner on the other. Just work the 2 stitches together to form 1 stitch. Back round at the beginning, I worked 2 stitches together again at the end to make sure that I was ending on a double for the round. I didn't want to change what I'd done in the corners in case it looked different, so I still worked my 2 together here where the front meets the back, and then I just worked 2 together, as I say, at the end to make sure I'm finishing on the double. Slip stitch into stitch number 1, and from here it's just a bunch of repetition again. I'm going to chain 1, turn round, single crochet on top of the first double, and work all the way around and all the way back and all the way around again until I've got the collar that I want. And whilst I'm building up the collar, I'm also forming an overlap on the front. I worked I think 11 rounds around the outside edge, and that gives me the collar that I want and the overlap that I want as well for the front. If you need more length at this point, attach your yarn into the bottom corner. I'd actually stop short of the final lap all the way around, then attach my yarn at the bottom corner and work just the bottom extension for as long as you need, and then finish up with a final lap all the way around just to neaten that off. To make a belt, just create a slip knot, a chained 6, chain an extra one to turn over the chain to get the back bumps, skipping that first back bump because that's my turn chain, into the second one, work a single crochet, and then alternate, making the griddle stitch all the way to the end. At the end, chain 1, turn around, and go back again. And just keep doing that over and over until you get the length that you want. That's it for my belt. I did not count how many rows I ended up doing, but there were a lot. It doesn't take very long. I weaved in my ends and I'm all done. After all of that, you should have something like this. Do let me know how you got on in the comments section. Thanks to everyone out there who's supporting the channel, and thanks for watching today.